evening, depending on where you are listening from. Welcome to the next webinar in the series for the Global Drug Substance Database, aiming towards building a open source consortium to keep this platform going, together with the Pistoia Alliance. Can you move a slide? So after having several sessions on especially stating the why, the purpose of the drug substance database, the GSRS, and how it has evolved and how it has come to be by people like Christian Hay from the ISO Health Informatics work group, presented basically the wedding cake that gives a very pragmatic overview. Towards why drug authorities, the FDA, the CBG, and others are working with it. A good learning session with the GSK. This has all helped to paint a picture of why it is needed, how companies are using it, how regulatory authorities are using it. Today, we're going to dive more into the technology part of it, a more intelligent pharmaceutical industry, enabling the regulatory exchange. So we are pleased to have this fourth installment. It's a comprehensive webinar to explore the cutting-edge framework revolutionizing pharmaceutical regulatory data exchange, the identification of medicinal products, and the global substance registration system. What to expect in this series today? The GSRS progress on IDMP and GSRS adoption. IDMP, I should say, IDMP is an ISO-based standard that arrives at the identification of medicinal product, and it's all based on the presence of the drug substance database, so the GSRS, which is driving that global regulatory alignment and digital transformation. Without the GSRS, there would not be an IDMP. So the GSRS ensures consistent substance identification through collaboration among regulators. It's a platform developed in the FDA environment together with the EU. There's the EU SRS available, used by the EMA. There is a specific, the version has also been adopted by UMC for the future for issuing IDMPs, so IDs for medicinal products. And several companies around the world are also implementing and learning with it. One of them is, of course, us at GVW. We are particularly using the drug substance database to also discover other substances as such. Improved data quality, patient safety, and regulatory efficiency is what comes from this. Enable data reuse across the product lifecycle. Interoperability supports seamless data exchange across systems, regions, and stakeholders. ISO standard adoption promotes for international regulatory convergence, enable faster market access, and enhance pharmacovigilance. IDMP implementation is phased, start with foundational data, substances, organizations, and progressing to full data integration. Next slide, please. In the second webinar, there was an overview from actually from the Uppsala Monitoring Center on how they are covering the drug monitoring program, its importance in global drug safety. It discussed the challenges in handling pharmacovigilance terms and the role of the WHO in the drug global in addressing these issues. It also covers the relevance of ISO IDMP standards along with tools like GSRS. He has mentioned also the UMC SRS and the GSID creation, all crucial for managing substance data effectively. The session concluded by sharing the vision, strategy, and implementation of IDMP standards within GSK's internal systems, emphasizing the need for strong standardized substance information frameworks in pharmaceutical operations. Next slide, please. The third webinar. the WHO drug monitoring and pharmacovigilance. It covered the WHO drug monitoring program, challenging in pharmacovigilance term reporting, and the global collaboration under WHO drug global initiatives. Medicinal product identification frameworks, discuss the ISO IDMP standards, GSRS software, UMC-SRS, and the GSID creation for the harmonized medicinal product identification and data consistency. Substance identification importance highlighted the critical role and complexity of substance identification in healthcare and regulatory systems. Substance Information Management and GSRS role presented the Substance Information Management Systems Program vision, mission, and strategy, emphasizing GSRS as a key tool for the pharmaceutical industry. Next slide, please. Key insights from the third webinar speakers. Marcel Hoefnagels, Senior Assessor Biopharmaceuticals with the Dutch CBG MEB, the Medicines Evaluation Board. Chair of the EMA Quality Innovation Group and Chair of the HMA Substance Validation Group. Key topics on the EMA database landscape, SPOR, SMS, and EU-SRS. Database of high quality substance data, naming substances, use causes, national databases, pharmacovigilance, substitution, e-prescription, and future developments. And on the right side, you see a very nice picture which gives an excellent overview of the whole landscape, so to speak. Next slide, please. This is in close collaboration with Pistoia Alliance, GVW, next to contributing through various standards bodies, also to the ISO organization. We also contribute to the Pistoia Alliance. The Pistoia Alliance is a industry body specifically focusing on the R&D in the pharmaceutical and life sciences industries. An excellent platform for industry to come together to discuss key topics on GSRS consortium. What is the alliance? Activities aligned with strategic priorities, the GSRS consortium vision and value proposition, value drivers of GSRS and consortium for the industry. So feedback from workshops and next steps. That is why we do all the series of webinars and we put them out there for more people to see and to learn. And people in the industry are really request to have a good look at it, see how they can contribute and possibly participate in this consortium. And helping to generate the GSRS basically to develop to the next levels. Today, as speakers, for the second time, Dr. Marlene Kim, project manager of the GSRS at the FDA. She's a chemist and a computational toxicologist. We will be hearing a different angle today and very much looking forward to that. And Igor Puzanov, who has been working very closely with people like Larry Callahan and is very much aware of the technicalities of the GSRS, and his story will also be very interesting. Today we're going to deep dive more in the technologies. Next slide, please. So, introducing Marlene Kim, chemist specialized in chem informatics and computational toxicology, received a PhD in computational and integrative biology from the Rutgers University in Camden, New Jersey. She was also a chemistry and general science teacher. She has hands-on experience in building quantitative structure activity relationship models fit for regulatory purposes, reviewing in silico predictions and assessing a read across reports. She advocated for the US FDA CEDAR to accept standardized chemical structure data in the form of SD files in regulatory submissions. She provides consultations and trainings related to the global substance registration systems, which defines substances found in drugs, botanicals, biologics, cosmetics, and other regulated products. So with this, Marlene, I'm handing it over to you, and I'm sure it will be a very interesting session.
Thank you, Louis. Okay, so today I am going to give an update on GSRS's progress on identification of medicinal products, specifically the implementation part. Next. I must read this disclaimer. So the mention of commercial products, their sources, or their use in connection with material reported herein is not to be construed as either an actual or implied endorsement of such products by the Department of Health and Human Services. This presentation reflects my own experience and expertise. I declare that I have no conflicts of interest, and the topics discussed should not be construed to represent the views or policies of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Next. Okay, so the progress we've made. So I'll just give a quick brief background information on GSRS and the UNII, the IDMP standards. IDMP implementation related to specific GSRS, and then our application and products modules. I know that I've talked about it many times in the past. Today I'll talk about more in detail in how it relates to all of our efforts in standardizing data and medicinal products, and then also specified substance, because these are interesting, but also interesting things no one likes to address. Next. Okay, so globalization has a major impact on regulated products and public health. It impacts our globally traded medicinal products, our food, the ingredients that goes inside it, and even the clinical trials abroad. And we know that, for example, in the US, many trials were already going abroad, but now they're definitely going abroad. But the question remains, what is our food? Like, what is in our food and our drugs? This is a very important question, and to this day, I always like to ask when we are stumped. I say, what is in a hot dog? And this can lead to many, many debates. But our focus will be what is in our medicinal products. Next. Okay, so real life and real problems. Even before globalization, even when people could just walk or just travel, something that we don't plan for is if you travel and get sick. You travel and get sick to a place that speaks a different language. Or maybe you are not sick per se, but you are traveling to get some maybe cosmetic treatment for medical, we call it medical tourism, and you want to purchase medicine abroad for afterwards, and you bring it home. Or you receive traditional medicine in another country and attempt to explain it to a Western doctor what happened and what herbs they gave you, and you brought them back. But overall, when we are talking to our doctors, we assume we're speaking the same language, but then when we talk about the medications have tons of synonyms, IDs, identifiers. The dose could change, and it would be really nice if we all were speaking the same language. And then when we add computers into it, it makes it a little bit more complicated. And actually for computers, it's easier if it has an ID. Next. Okay, so Global Substance Registration System. So it was developed in collaboration with NIH and CATS as a registration system for the ingredients in medicinal products. Okay, we collaborate with them and international stakeholders to share data. And FDA contributes by providing regulated substances. So substances also include impurities and excipients, the products, the ingredients, cosmetics, and so much more. And remember that US FDA also regulates tobacco products and devices. Next. And what's so unique is our unique ingredient identifier. FDA, US FDA is the only entity in the world that assigns this ID. Beginning in 2006, FDA deployed its version of substance registration system and implemented it. No other code system met FDA's regulatory needs. It's an alphanumeric identifier linked to a molecular structure or descriptive information of a substance. Because remember, we also have have foods, and if you want to discuss a cow, we want to know specifically what part of the cow is the ingredient you're talking about. And the UNIIs can be generated at any time in the regulatory life cycle for any substance from an atom to an organism. Next. Okay, so our main work at GSRS is to define substances. We are very particular, and we love to talk about substances all day. When someone comes to us with a request for a UNII, we want to know what the chemical structure is. If it's not a chemical, we want to know the sequence. If it's an ingredient, we want to know where it came from, what organism, what part of the organism, so all the way down to the molecular level. And if you're just searching GSRS, while we have a display name, so on the screen it says sodium chloride and it has a UNII, we also capture synonyms and codes so that you can use the other information to cross-check, cross-reference, and confirm that this UNII is the one that you are looking for. Next. So why use GSRS? Our main focus is substances, but why use it for anything else? Well, our system GSRS is not just a website. We have a software and we have applications inside. And we also have a team that can help you. So if you wanted to install GSRS on your own computer and have access to all the unique features that FDA has, that's something we can help with. And it can be used to track the life cycle of a substance from beginning to end, from the beginning when it enters, when it's part of the manufacturing, all the way to when it becomes an impurity. And we are able to do that because of the UNII. So we have substances and products in one knowledge base, and information is highly curated. Next. We are also data stewards. GSRS envisions an FDA where all substances are traceable. We participate in data standards harmonization working groups. We manage the chemical structure data files, SD files program, FDA, and we also support major centers. And one of the largest centers, I guess it is the largest center at FDA, is CEDAR. CEDAR OPQ, they are the major chemistry quality reviewers, and they have a system called CASA. And this system, their effort is to digitize and modernize their review process. One of the ways we support them is we built a Group 4 specified substance manufacturing form so that they can register synthetic schemes. And then this makes their mixing out synthetic schemes digital and machine readable, which means you can search for substances in that scheme later. But I'll talk about more about that later in the presentation. Next. Okay, so there are 5 ISO standards that establish the framework of global IDMP implementation. We have the pharmaceutical product identifier, PIDs, medicinal product identifiers, and PIDs, substance identification. We talk about the dose and related content and units of measure. So in GSRS, our biggest focus is the substance identification, but our software is built to manage and include recommendations from the standards. Next. Okay, so global IDMP implementation at FDA specifically. So for each of the standards, so in the title it says elements, and I call it elements because this would be an element inside the code when we are defining what some the controlled vocabulary. So we don't have PIDs yet; those are yet to come. But when they are available, we are ready to receive them as part of ISO 11616. For the medicinal product identifiers and PIDs, in the US, we use NDC codes, or we just say NDC, the C is the code. For substance identification, we use primarily the UNII, but we also include synonyms and other names. So USAN, the USAN name, the INN name, GSID, SMIDs, so that anyone from around the world, if they want to look up a substance, they can check to see if the name of the substance in their country, or just in when they're generally speaking, they can match it up to other synonyms, and they can figure out what something really is. Next are dose, strength, route of administration, units of presentation and packaging. All this actually, we ingest that information from structured product labeling, and we rely on the NCI. So this is National Library of Medicine's thesaurus. So in the hyperlinks, if you are looking for a medical term, you can go in there, type it, and find all the other terminologies that means the same thing, and that is very important. And then units of measure, we follow UCOM. Next. So I must also just give a little bit of background on structured product labeling. So the SPL is required in the FDA, and this is what makes the drug labels machine readable. Okay, so it is an HL7 standard in extensible markup language, XML format. It's the only electronic format for content and labeling. The ingredients in there are are required to have a UNII, so the active ingredient and the excipients. Okay, so while UNIs are not required, if you have a submission and you have to say SPL, those ingredients must have a UNII. And it's because the UNII eliminates ambiguity caused by names and synonyms. Next. Okay, now back to real life and real problems. So how do we tackle this, and how does IDMP help us solve this issue of when I get sick, will I be able to receive the same medications that I'm already taking, or once I get a prescription, if I fly back home, will I be able to also get it filled, and so much more. Next. Okay, so in GSRS, so now I'm going to talk about the user experience and interface, and how the features in the software help implement IDMP. So if you're looking for a substance, right away in the top header, you can type in the name, identifier, entry key of a substance, and it will auto-populate, and you can pick the substance. But let's say, so in the US, the generic name or the official name is acetaminophen, but in another country, they may call it Panadol. Or if you're talking to your friends, just in plain terms, you may say Tylenol. If you see here in the bottom, it's 82. We have 82 names or synonyms listed. So there are many names, and if you wanted to look it up, this is where you would go. And if you're not sure, we also have the chemical structure, the entry key, systematic names, and also CAS numbers in there. So it will help you confirm that this is what you're really looking for. Next. And then for some of our substances that are found in products or clinical trials, so although it's a small tab or a small section in the view of a substance, like on the web page, over on the left panel we have these facets where you can just focus on where you can click on it, and it'll take you directly to the section that just talks about products, applications, adverse events. This is one place where you can track the life cycle of the substance. Because here, if it is a product and they submitted an SPL, it will show up in GSRS. If there's a drug shortage, we also have a tab for that, and it will tell you if it is. And if you click on the product ID, it will bring you, it will give you information. It's the product, the NDC code. And then the different tabs, you can see all the applications where this substance is found. So here, valproic acid, and just for this view, there are 89 applications that mention this as an active ingredient or an excipient. Next. And you can also browse applications and products. In the top header, you click on the menu bar, scroll down to browse, click browse application or products, and then here you can see it will list everything we have just in bulk. Next. And we also have facets. So in our modules on the left side, sometimes it's hidden if your browser is small. When you expand it, it'll pop up, and you can filter it down to the specific information you're looking for. On the page here, I have an example. I was searching for semaglutide. That's a very popular drug right now. And when I clicked on it, all the applications where it is listed showed up. So it's in INDs, and I redacted the application number. But here you can see the ingredient name, the sponsor name, when we have put it in there, and what center submitted it. And because this is proprietary, I can't show you everything, but if you have this, if you wanted to manage the applications at your company, this is one way to do it. You want to see everything all the applications that you've submitted, and it's in and you can format it properly. Next. Okay. And then the products module. So every product that has an SPL, if it has an SPL, the information will be made publicly available on National Library of Medicine's website, and it's also available in Open FDA. For GSRS, we take the SPL, we take the bulk data, and we upload it into our system. And what's nice is that it takes that bulk information that's in XML format that's meant for a computer, and it puts it for us humans to read. So now we can see for this valproate sodium, we see all the products that are listed. It has the manufacturer's name. It also has the application numbers, which I redacted, but this will give you a broad view of, at FDA, at least for CEDAR and CBER, tell me all of the applications that have this. We are able to answer that question. And if you wanted to dive deeper, if you click on the hyperlink on the side, it will take you to another page where you can see the dose form. You can see the list of the excipients. You can see the route of administration. And also, although it's really tiny under substance being active, you can see the dose. But I must mention that we do plan on to update the interface. Next. Okay, so what you see here is our product module. It displays all the elements of the medicinal product ID. So everything needed to generate this product code, this NDC code, is listed here. And I also want to mention that the target audience right now, what you see is not clinicians at this time. This is this is what we get from the raw SPL, and we do have plans in the future to improve the interface so that a clinician or a doctor looking at first glance, this, for example, the dose right now it says numerator and denominator. It will say 100 milligrams per milliliter, and that is something that makes sense to a human. And if you want to learn more about how FDA implements MDIP, there is a hyperlink on the lower left-hand corner. Next. Okay, now something else that people are very interested in, but it's a tough topic. It's a Group 1 specified substance, and this is the formulation. Okay. For example, to Bechtle's phosphate buffered saline solution. We know that this is an ingredient, but this ingredient is made from many ingredients, and each ingredient has a specific amount. This is where you can capture this. This has been relatively helpful for cosmetics. If you're making lotions, for example, when you purchase it, you see just one thing. It could be a gel or a cream, but in that cream are many different things, and we want to know what is in it. So this is the place to do it. Next. Okay. We also have a way of capturing Group 4 specified substance, specifically the manufacturing or the synthetic scheme. Because the old way of writing a chemical reaction is by hand, where you draw the chemical structure. And then as computers became popular, we have chemical drawing tools, but you still have to draw it. But now, if you draw it in a software, for example, ChemDraw or ChemDoodle, what if you could take that digital information and put it into a form and share it with the FDA, and then you never have to redraw it again, except when you want to update one of the materials. So here we built this, and we provided it to Cedar. They configured it to a way they want, but this form follows the ISO recommendations, and it's digital, so it's no longer PDF. Reviewers don't have to redraw it, and now we captured all the starting materials, the reagents, the intermediates, and the final product, and we are tracking the life cycle of not just the active ingredient or the product. We're also tracking the impurities across all applications. Next. And we're able to do this because of the SD file program that was initiated in 2001 in a response to chemists saying, there's no need to redraw the chemical structures. In companies, you have the structure that you drew in ChemDraw, and then somehow in the submissions by regulations, it converted to PDF, and then internally we have to redraw it. It just makes no sense. We just want the digital format from the beginning. The SD file, it's tabulated. You have the structures, the IDs, the names, the cast, the role, all in a nice SDF table. And then this information, GSRS, we have a semi-automated way to register it. And what's nice is that we also get the information sometimes even years before the application is assigned to a reviewer, especially for TMFs. So by the time the reviewer has to work on it, most of the drug substances, impurities, nitrosamines, whatever it is already in GSRS, and they go to CASA. All the substances are there, and they can just review. They don't have to prepare their documents. And since 2021, we have registered over 21,000 impurities. These are unique impurities. Next. So Siba just put in the chat, it's now 28,000. So challenges assigning unis to mixtures and formulations. While it's challenging, it is not impossible, and we encourage sponsors and the public to reach out to us and tell us what this ingredient is. We often request a manufacturer's technical document, and sometimes if the document is not helpful, we actually will have a one-on-one conversation with the manufacturer so we can get it right. And then that way, when you file your SPL, when you file your submissions, you have the right ingredient. You mention the right ingredient in your submission to avoid deficiencies and any delays. Next. Okay, so in 2019, Larry Callahan gave he's retired now, he gave a presentation on IDMP and how GSRS is the best system, in his own biased opinion, how GSRS is the best system for implementation, for IDMP implementation. So he mentioned the goal is to get data organized prior to submission. I can confirm that we have this. Next, fielded data is better than non-fielded data. We have this. ISO standards mention or recommend the fields, the standards. It now even has tech specs. A controlled vocabulary is better than non-controlled. We have this too. In GSRS, we have drop-downs, and we also rely on NCI thesaurus. Next, codes are better than names in electronic systems. We have that. We have UNIs. We have SMIDs. We have for some GSIDs. We have the INN names as well. So substance terminology of the definitions, not just the hierarchy, and that all substances and medicinal products should be defined and assigned a permanent unique ID. So we have this. It's not there for every single substance or every scenario, but I can say that we are implementing IDMP. Next. Okay, so interoperability. IDMP promotes interoperability. It helps us track the life cycle of a substance because it relies on key data elements to generate standardized identifiers. We have identifiers, codes, control vocabulary, easier to manage, sharing digital information. And GSRS uses relationships and we call it entity services, but that's our application, our products module, to directly link substances to its scientific definition and the IDMP key data elements. Next. And I will just like to highlight our team. They are so important. We have our supervisor, Megan Merriman. We have our program manager, Tyler Perrier. Our registrar team, Frank, Siva, Tamika, Marianne, Karen, Trang, and we are a multidisciplinary team. We have a pharmacist, we have veterinarian, we have a CMC expert, biologics vaccine. So a whole team dedicated to this work. And then we also have our development team, which is amazing. Evie Matthey, Sarah Steinman, George Washburn. We have Ramez, Li Hui, Mitch, Archana, Alex, Aruna, and Yarrow. Our whole team, I'm proud to say we have our whole team and we work really well together, and we have the same similar vision for GSRS. Next. And also I listed resources in case you need it. If you need a UNII request, email FDA-SRS@fda.hhs.gov. If you just want to search by name, we have the Precision FDA UNII search. If you want to search by structure and you don't have GSRS installed, you can use the NCATS version. If you want to share data with GSRS, we also have the Precision FDA version where you don't have to log in. And then we also have the SPL UNII validation that's updated daily. So this is where, let's say you're a company and you are trying to prepare your submissions and you need a UNII. If you request a UNII and our team responds back to you, within the next day, that UNII will be listed in the UNII validation sheet. Okay, it will be on there even before it gets to the public precision FDA UNII search. So just keep that in mind. But what's nice is that it only lists the preferred name and the UNII. And if it's confidential, none of that information in there because it's just a spreadsheet. Next. Okay. Done. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Louis, you're muted.
Thank you, Marleen. Well, I think you gave an excellent overview of the realities of the GSRS, and it's very comprehensive and very accessible, I would say. Hopefully this leads to more questions as we move along, and also gives the clarity on why we need to push this forward into an open source environment. Let's move on to the next speaker, Igor Puzanov. Igor is a network engineer with many years of experience in different networking technologies, as well as Python, Java, and JavaScript programming experience. In 2006, he joined the Bechtle AG in Germany, working for different customers across, I assume, Germany and Europe. Involved with the GSRS, I guess as long as I am now, since 2019. And we'll be speaking about GSRS adoption. Igor, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Marleen, for a nice presentation. Now we know how good GSRS is, and now I try to explain how to adopt it in your environment if you want it. So, please next. So, I want to share my experience with adoption of GSRS system based on two migrations. One of them, first, I have done for BFarm. I started playing with GSRS in 2019, and in March 2020, we was ready, and DSRS will put into operation. Yeah. Then in 2023, I've made migration of email data to SVGSRS system, which used by SVG substance validation group team by EMA. So here you see two projects. Please next. So before we starting, we need a plan how we can successfully do such a migration, and we need to start first with the evaluation of GSRS and check if this software really can cover all our needs. If we are found that GSRS software is exactly what we need, then we can analyze our existing legacy system. We need to define fields mapping, communication with the external system or external component in our system landscape. If it's done, we need to put this everything into some sort of documentation, and then we can start to our implementation. First of all, based on information about necessary external communication, we need to think about what GSRS extensions we need to use. So if such extensions already exist in GSRS, we can use it, but if it's not, then we need to create such extensions myself. So, and next step, we need to implement data load pipeline. It's actually how we migrate data from our legacy system to the new one. Later on, I will show our example how we can implement this at the BfArM and EMA. So then we need to repeat these steps several times with documentation, extensions modification, data load, pay plan, and then test runs and results analysis. And after each run, we need to document our bugs which were found, or user can create a new feature request. And after that, we need to put this into documentation and repeat the steps until we doesn't have any issues, any errors in our bug tracking protocol. So, and at the same time, we can starting to teach user to use the new system. It's very important that user as well learn how to use it and accept this system. So, and then we are ready to do a final migration. So please, next. So, as I said, we're starting at BfArM with GSRS Play. This was a Play version of GSRS. It was monolithic, very easy to run and evaluate. Maybe this was a reason why we chose it. So now with the GSRS 3, it's modular, much easier to extend, but it's now bit difficult to deploy and to make first evaluation. Please, next. So here I can prepare some options what we can use to start with GSRS software evaluation. This is from top and the bottom, from simplest to complex installation. The simplest one, I have created a so-called simple SRS. It only contains two components. It's a front-end and substances component. And it's if you build it, it will be generated GRA file, a Java file, a Java executable file, which you can use. You can run with any Java runtime environment. You need to only GRE to run it. Yeah, it's very simple. Direct, you can run it and start to evaluate the software, but it's not really for production. It's only for tests. So the next one is Docker images. If you have, if you like to use Docker image to production deployed or for evaluation, you can start from deploying these images on your local computer, and later on you can use the same Docker images in your enterprise deployment. Like you can use on-premises clouds, like let's say open not OpenStack, but OpenShift. You can use public clouds like Azure, everything, everywhere. You can use Kubernetes. So it's a very flexible option. Then you can build GSRS from a GSRS 3 main deployment. You can build all modules and use it in Tomcat application server. This is a way which preferred by NCATs. It's NCAT standard default way to deploy GSRS. And if you are a programmer, you can start to use directly Spring Boot run option, and then you need to front end, and then you can start with a substances model. You can directly modify it, run it, test it, but it's a more complex and advanced way to play with it. So please, next. So what's our goals of this evaluation? First of all, we need to understand what we want from this new system. For example, at BFarm, our old system provides only information about name, codes, some sort of impurities, active moiety, and references. And we don't have information about structure, sequences, and so on. So for us was really these features from GSRS very valuable, and we have decided to use it. The next step, we need to think about how to integrate this system to existing environment, like substance management system are using very often together with the product management system. So, and we need to make communication possible between our existing product management system and new GSRS-based substance management system. Practically at BFarm, I've created drop-in replacement for old substance management system with new GSRS-based management system. So the next part, we need to decide about what runtime environment we can use. This can be Tomcat, it can be Docker, it can be, an example, Azure with Spring Boot objects and so on. You can choose what you in what runtime environment you want to start GSRS. So then very important step, user or target user need to be try GSRS as well, and because it's very important that user accept this software. Because sometimes user can say, okay, old software was better, or I want to have some new other features in the management software. So we need to find replacement for these requirements or implement such requirements for user requirements. So, and as for any evaluation, we need to evaluate some alternative. For example, here we can compare it with the old legacy system or other system based, on example, on fire. So, next, please. So, what is a part of the legacy analysis system? Here, as I already said, in our examples, our old system, it's IS-83, it's a BFarm legacy substance management system, provides information, contains information about names, German, English, and Latin names, codes. This was ASK. ASK is a BFarm substance code system. Yeah. Then we have CAS as well in IS-83. Then we have classification, references, relationships, active moieties, and impurities. So, and communication, as for communication with the external system, we need to implement authentication for GSRS based on single sign-on. So we have Active Directory, and we have decided to use some authentication. Then we have internal CV, control vocabulary, on our existing product management system. We want to use it as well. Then we have our product management system. And we want to export data from our substance management system from GSRS into the public instance, which are available for everybody in Germany and can be referenced. So, and last but not least, our colleagues want to have some sort of reporting about substances, newly created substances, some sort of which substances are used in products and so on. And for that, they need some sort of email reporting. So please, next. So for fields mappings, we have several options. First of all, we have our substance management software as 83. It was a database, have database as backend, and we can use directly SQL to access this database field, and we need to map somehow these fields to the JSON format which are accepted by GSRS. On example, on EMA, by EMA migration, I have access to EMA SMS API. It was implementation of FHIR interface. So I have got JSON, FHIR JSON, and then need to generate GSRS compatible JSON from this data. Another possible alternative is XML to JSON. This FHIR server can provide data in JSON format or XML format. So both options are here available. Please, next. So how we do this field mapping process? When we started, I've let the user create a new records in GSRS and check what the source information can be used in newly created substances. So I check database records in the IS-83 and check how this information is can be used in the GSRS JSON. Some fields from IS-83 cannot be directly transferred to the newly created JSON. They need to be modified. For example, we have some specific fields. It's like a synthetic field, which contain information about type, language, and access for the name. And from this single field, I need to create actually name with the name, and then name type, language, and access. So here it's step 3, I need to make some sort of transformation. And because we don't have all necessary information in the old system, I need to think about enrichment of the records. Enrichment, it means like where can I get information about structures and sequences. So, and if it's everything here done, then we can create field mapping rules where we can specify which fields are mapped to the JSON and where we can get information to enrich them. Please, next. So it's all about field mapping. Now we can, here I will show you what the communication we have with the external system. So we have here Amanda product management system, and for that, here I can communicate from GSRS with the SQL, using SQL language with this database, and for that I need to create some specific processor, substance cache processor, which will running every time we modify some substance. This processor will be update a specific table in the database. So next model is using of Amanda CV. Here is a way around. If we are creating a new substance in GSRS and you want to use classifications, these classifications will build automatically based on information in CV. Let's say user create a new classification and put only number, and then this processor, based on the number of classification, build together a classification string. So for that, we need to access to the some specific term cache table in the Amanda CV. So then we have to export our public information to public instances, Amici public instance. For this export, we're using two extensions: is a SQL export factory and scheduled export task. SQL export factory create report, and then with the scheduled export task, this report will be sent to different destinations. Here we can choose, an example, we're using SFTP, but it can be FTP, it can be WebDAV, whatever you want, what's supported by a VFS2 library by Java. So the same modules are using for creating exports. SQL export factory generate reports, and then these reports will be sent with a scheduled export task over SMTP, it's mail server communication protocol. So, and for authentication, I've created a reverse proxy based on Apache with a Melon SAML implementation. So I'm using this Apache reverse proxy for user authentication and providing seamless and on functionality. And here, the last module is a bulk update service. It's a Python service which used GSRS REST API and can update multiple records or multiple substances in one go. We can define some sort of job which are which are limited for some substance scope. We can define what's the substance we want to update, and then we can enrich substance with additional information. It means add something like add some codes. We can modify some codes or names, or we can delete some sort of information. All this we can do it with bulk update service. Please next. Next, please. So now we are ready to create our documentation. So on the left side, it's our main document. We are making field mapping documentation, fields enrichment, external system requirements, and then GSRS extension, what we want to use, and then two configuration file is the GSRS main configuration file and GSRS UI configuration file. And on the right side, we have some specific document where we're tracking bugs and features, what user requested, and then configuration changes. It means for every test iteration, we will put here new bugs or close already closed bugs, create a new feature request, and close implemented feature request. It's everything done here on the right document. Please next. So here is a list of our extensions, what we are using at BFarm right now. On the left side, it's extensions which are already part of GSRS. And on the right side, it's extensions which I'm created for BFarm explicitly. If you see, some extensions are green marked on the left side. These extensions was created from me for BFarm as well, but then later accepted as in main GSRS repository. So now they are available for everybody to use. So feel free to use it. It's very usable, some of them very powerful extensions. On the left side, you see some extensions yellow marked, which I think I have ascended to GSRS, to NCATS as a proposal to add this to the main branch, but it was not there at this time. And all other extensions on the right side, they are very BFARM specific, so they will be no going into the main GSRS branch because it's very BFARM specific. So maybe if you create your own extensions, you as well can decide what can be used by public or what kind of extensions are only can be used internal. So if you have possibly extensions which can be shared, please share it. Please next. So for data pipeline, I've created a specific library, PySRS. This is maybe it's not only library but framework. It's multiprocessing. It means it can be very good parallelized, and you can reach very good performance by importing data. It's allowed to create, update, retrieve GSRS substances from GSRS in JSON form. It's allowed to retrieve and normalize to GSRS standard JSON data from multiple data sources. On example, here data source, IS-83 data source, which takes data from our legacy system, and as output from this system, from this data source, we have valid GSRS compatible JSON, and the same for all other data sources. They are generating at the end GSRS compatible JSON file. So. Then library can be used for substance enrichment. I will show it later. And as now, I'm using it for importing data from different systems into the GSRS for reporting and for bulk update. This means this bulk update service, which I showed previously, used the same library. It's hosted right now by NCATS, the repository, but it's not public. Not public because, in my opinion, it's not ready to be public. It's actually it's I can share this without problem if you ask me, but it can be not used as it. It needs to be some sort of modification. If you have your system or legacy system, you have to create your own data source. Yeah, and this can be challenging. So I decide not to make it public right now, but feel free, if you're interested in, simply ask me. I will share this code with you, no problem. So please, next. So, and here is how data pipeline implemented. As a first data source, we can here specify data source chain. First data source, we're taking data from our IS-83 system. And here we have GSRS JSON as concept. We have names in it, we have codes in it, we have relationships in it, and references in it. So then we go to the next step, and this JSON will be go to the next data source. It's a GSRS data source, and here we can enrich this JSON file with additional information. How we can do it? So we have to request or we have to search GSRS for the right substances which can be mapped to our substance. So we can, how we can do it? We have some codes. We can use codes to search GSRS for these specific codes. We have names. We can search GSRS for these specific names. And if we are lucky and our names in EU PAC format and, or nomenclature, then we can convert these names into the structure and search GSRS for the structures. This is exactly how we done this substance mappings. So if we are lucky and found the right substance in GSRS, then we take this substance and enrich our JSON with additional information like substance definition with structure, sequence, structural diverse information, and additional codes like UNII, CAS, UTCT, and so on. So the next step, we have UTCT data source. And here we can search for right UTCT codes. Here we can use names. We can use codes like CAS numbers. We can use UNII here already for searching in UTCT lists. So if we are lucky and find our substance in EUTCT, then we can enrich our substance with the additional EUTCT and EVMPD codes. So technically, I have more data source in our migration. It was PubChem, it was ChemID+, which are used for getting structure information and additional codes. But here I was limited with space, and so it's only 4 data sources as example. It can be more. So, and if we have our substance JSON already with all necessary information, then at the last step we can push this information to the GSRS system. Yeah, we can validate this substance and submit it. Please next. So. Here's one interesting part is which fields can be used for substance mappings. I have listed here from reliable to unreliable. Most reliable information which can be used for substance mapping is codes. Specifically UNII, SMS ID, ISK. If you have UNII in your legacy database, it will be very easy to map to make such a migration, map substances between your legacy system and GSRS. If you don't have it, okay, you have another option. If you have structure information like INCHI, key, SMILES, it also can be used for substance mapping. If you don't have it, but maybe you have names in EUPAC format, then you can convert these names with the OPSIN library into the structure and then searching for the structure in GSRS. It also allowed you to map your substances to the GSRS substances. Very reliable. So then we have unreliable codes. It's like CAS and classifications. CAS is because CAS is multiple, can be found in multiple substances. Actually, the same like a structure. It can be also found in multiple substances. Or an example, okay. The next possible this problem with the SMILES and INCHI and structure, it's only can be used by chemicals. Yeah, all other types cannot be used. We shall only use codes or names, but names are most unreliable factor to match substances. So. Please consider it. Please next. So, and here how we are rotating our testing pipeline. We have our documentation, which contain field mapping rules, backtracking logs, and configuration files. Then we are implementing our data load pipeline, creating our data source, creating our necessary extensions, configuration files. We can build an GSRS system, make test run, import data, and then we can verify results. We need to check data integrity. We need to check external communication if all data are coming to all systems which are necessary, and then we can let user check user interface if everything okay from side of user experience. Please next. So, and here a little bit more details about result analysis. Data integrity we can check in different ways. The simpler way is manual validation. We can define the scope of the substances which can be user can validate, but we cannot validate all substances. You have 50,000 or 100,000 substances. We cannot go to all of the substances manually validated. So you have to create some sort of reporting tools which can compare your legacy system information with a new installed system information. So, on example, in our case at BFarm, our old legacy system generate export to the public system. It's a bunch of SVG, CSV files. So, and I have decided to re-implement this, or I have to re-implement this by a new GSRS-based system, such export. I've created, and then I can compare these exports from our legacy system against export from our new systems, and see if it's differences here. And so I can check data integrity if our import process are working as expected. So, and here is a green mark. This is programmatic methods for checking data integrity, and manual validation is manual validation. So user acceptance, user can have some sort of requirements, and this need to be addressed. So we need to be sure that user have all information. On example, it can be some sort of index and facets. Yeah, so we can enable it. If it doesn't exist, we need to create it. So user acceptance tests is part of these steps. So all bugs we need to put into the backtracking log. And the same for feature request. If user wants something new, we are putting this into the document, and then starting implementation process, then testing again, and after result, we analyze if its bugs are solved and future requests are implemented. So please, next. So at the same time, we can start training our users. For that, we have to create different guides, user guides for normal user, which are using this substance management system only as a read-only. Then we need to advanced user guides for somebody who manage or entering substances into GSRS, and specific documentation we need for administrators who need to know how to administer the system, manage backups, installation, and management of the system. Then we need to make some training for the users. Please, next. So, and here we are on the final migration. It's on the top, you will see how it looks our old system, IS-83, and here is a result, new GSRS system. Please, next. And we are finished here. Please, next. After migration is done, we have to think about new updates, create a new custom. If you create too many custom extensions, maybe it will be difficult to make next update. It was BFarm very big challenge to migrate from GSRS 2 to GSRS 3 because of too many custom extensions. Then sometimes we need to custom reports, bulk updates, and so on. Please, next. That's it.
All right. There you go. Well, thank you so much. Again, a very extensive presentation. I was coming online to to nudge the time. I think Marlene and yourself gave excellent info. So that was great. Maybe we still can quickly come online. Igor and Marlene, can you come online? And Joe? possibly. Birte, are you there?
I'm here.
Srinidhi? Hi, Kim.
I'm here.
Hi. So Kim and Igor, you both spent a good amount of time. I think more than our team had anticipated, but it was excellent. It is both very good insights from different levels. So we probably don't have too much time to do a thorough discussion. So one thing to suggest for people that still have questions, put them in the Q&A. After we still can come back to those. But maybe this is a good moment, Birte, for you to can you give a quick update on where we are with the Pistoia and the GSRS, the journey towards the GSRS consortium, if I can put it like that. You're on mute, Birte.
Sorry, yeah, I was trying to find the right window that had disappeared. Yeah, thank you, Igor, thank you, Marlene. These were very, very interesting presentation. And I think it was really good to hear about implementation, right, of GSRS, because this is one of the things we have discussed within the consortium, that building a consortium, and one of the things that would be of real value is having a place to have these shared learnings, right? A consortium that consists of the regulators, of industry, of technology providers, and people that's actually implemented the GSRS. That could become a shared asset for those adopting the system. So this would be one of the benefits of having a consortium organization, benefiting from learning how others have navigated this preparation. As you heard from Igor, it's not straightforward, right? And how do you actually make things operational, right? So hearing about this journey and the trials and errors, and that helps speed up adoption, I believe. So this was one of the things a consortium could could work on. So yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I would actually have a few follow-up questions for you, Igor, as you were talking. These migrations, how big were the migration teams involved for BfArM and EMA in number of people, Igor?
Number of people, I was practically alone as a programmer and technical side, but I have very great support from BfArM colleagues, which are part of a substance management team. Yeah, it's
They're
I think
not
about
data
5.
engineers. They
I
are
think
they
I
are
think
substance professionals.
yeah, exactly. Substance professionals. It was about 5 people. So, and yeah, we have this system up and running with such a small
And they
team.
were doing mostly the testing and validation and checking the accuracy and completion of data.
Yeah, exactly. They help me to with the report analyze, with tracking of bugs and changes and requests and so on. It was very great help from the side. Edita was one of this team. It was very, very constructive and very successful work together.
And do you know after it went live, how many people within BfArM actually are using now this version of the GSRS within BfArM? And the same question for EMA.
I know that in BfArM it's already in use, and everybody who working with the product, GSRS is linked to this product management system, and technically everybody who working with the products and substances are using this data from GSRS, and team which are entering and data into the GSRS. It's a team for 4 people.
Yeah, Thank you, Igor. Maybe Srinidhi, Joe, would you have additional thoughts or questions for Igor and Marlene?
Louis, I have one question for Marlene. I knew that actually I was the IDMP, how to organize data using GSRS for IDMP. I had just one question there. I did see that exactly quite a few additional points with respect to the ISO standards are coming up, but just wanted to check are all the spore related things have been aligned in terms of because I did see the actives, inactives, and dosage forms, and also the formulation. But like even for the market authorization holders part and other things, so everything what an IDMP is requiring, is all those things being aligned for organizing the data on GSRS?
Hi, Srinidhi. That is a very good question. You must keep in mind that ISO standards are recommendations for, so the IDMP are recommendations for standardizing our data. And within our jurisdictions, we have laws, and the laws take time to change. So our terminology in terms of maybe on the front, we have to use a certain terminology, but at least on the back end, in terms of the standard, we implement the standards to the as best as we can. And if there is a discrepancy, well, I won't call it discrepancy. It's because we have to meet the obligations of our, of our country laws, but also we want to also follow the standards and be aligned globally. So you mentioned some of the terminology, like the dose, the strength. Keep in mind, for example, excipient, the word, we know that when we talk about inactive ingredients, we really mean excipient, but in the Federal Registry, it says inactive. And because of that, we have to follow it. But at least internally, we know that the terminology that we're talking about the same thing. So it's not perfect, but we are working towards being more aligned.
Thanks, Marlene.
Thank you. Ian, I see you also put a question in the or suggestion in the chat. You want to comment on that, Ian?
Yeah, sure. So I thought it was a really good point that Igor made about those various custom extensions, and I think that the consortium could be a very good place to have those open discussion about which ones are viable for including in the main code. Yeah, I thought that was a really great point to raise. And thank you for that, Igor. It really got me thinking about that as well.
Good. And that's what this is all about, making people think, Igor.
Actually, it's an advantage of using open source software. Using open source, and you can commit your extensions, what I'm writing for BFarm, and everybody can do this. It's only will be, and the system will be better. GSRS can be only better if many people are sharing such extensions which are created for our own system.
I would like to add, I think the experiences that you've presented here, Igor, are very important for whether it's institutes or life science companies or whoever in the ecosystem want to embrace the use of GSRS, that there is actually a good step forward that can be taken. I also very much, when you go further in your presentation, I want to highlight slide 53, where you spoke about the data load pipeline. You took the sources, I think, from BFarm, AS83, and then the GSRS, you pulled a lot of data from there. That's also my understanding, right? That through the GSRS, there's a lot of data readily available that can be pulled into any local installation, correct?
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah.
And is there maybe also pulling Marlene into this one? Is there an official policy, Marlene, on what data is being made available through the FDA GSRS and that other implementations can draw upon?
So FDA GSRS, we only release public information, and it's public if externally we can find a book or a patent that was published outside. If we receive information from a sponsor, unless they give us a reference that is posted to the public, that stays inside. And I think that's important because we have to maintain the trust with sponsors and outside. But any information that we get, if it's public, we will put it out there. And for example, SPL, all that is public. It's in XML format. It's on OpenFDA, and we do have a team that try to parse it to make it easier to upload. And that's something we can talk about later.
Yeah, I think this is a very important topic to stipulate, and also that the community is aware that on the business side, the data is protected, and what's already public is easy accessible and it is in reuse, and that within the GSRS open source software that are ways to manage that. I think that requires a particular deep dive, most likely once we get to the consortium, I would imagine. We had anticipated a little bit shorter presentations, but both Marlene and Igor, I think they were excellent, and will be very interesting for people to watch later on as well. Those take good learnings both on the use of GSRS and how to get it installed. So I want to thank the audience and the presenters, and I want to point out that we have a next webinar scheduled on December 4th. We're just putting the QR code on that on the page right now. The panel discussion after the speakers, and speakers will be announced. And I'm sure we can continue this journey towards the GSRS consortium. And I think quite a few people will be meeting next week in Boston and having a good discussion there as well. Right. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.